All right. I think I nailed that one. Good.
I swear, it was very glitchy. I don't know if that's me or if that's on your side.
Really, I didn't notice glitchy, but
it might be on me.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So I think that it's funny. So since starting the because it's also streaming on Instagram and the Facebook and all that stuff, I think there's about a 10-second delay.
You should get rid of the. Yeah, I think if you just call it Facebook, it's gonna pop.
The Facebook. All right. So just call it Facebook. What about the Instagram?
Stick with that.
Stick with that. Okay.
Yeah. I really think this thing could take off. I think we could get a couple thousand people to really start following it and using it. Yeah, I really think. I mean, at least our neighborhood, at least a couple folks in our neighborhood.
Right? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
I think. So what I also think something that's gonna. Oh, what's up, Louie? Louie's watching us on Instagram from Cow Harbor CrossFit. That's a good dude right there. I want to get him on here today. You would have fun with him. But
so, what's he get? Like a notification that you've gone live or something?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's a regular supporter of our page too. So
that's pretty cool.
And I have a T-shirt of his, not here, but I have a T-shirt for him as well. Anyway,
where's Cow Harbor? Where's Cow Harbor CrossFit?
Long Island.
Oh.
CrossFit out there in Long Island. But I met him through Affiliate U, and he's I think he's there's several Affiliate U's been doing this where similar to your coaching certifications, your gym is a level this based on kind of where you're at in the curriculum and how you're running your systems and your coaching and your blah blah blah. And I think Cow Harbor's U level 4s.
Wow.
If not, he's right on the cusp. So maybe he can confirm that if he's watching. But
what are you?
Level 2 on the cusp of a 3, right on the edge of a 3. A couple things that. And Louis said, "You're a great man, Eric." He's a sweetheart. Look at that guy. You would like Louis. There's also
how do they assess it?
So they go through a lot of your systems. So they give you it's this long survey, which I get really excited. They about every 45 days you can kind of do this kind of reassessment of where you're at in the business, and they'll ask you questions from personal stuff about your goals and your vision and your what you're trying to accomplish, from stuff like your systems. Do you have a good onboarding process in place? Do you have a good
I guess my question was, how do they define what's defined as good?
So the questionnaire asks is this in place, and is it in place? Have you taken the system and it is fully functional? Are you currently working on that system, or do you have nothing in place at all?
Okay.
So those are kind of the 3 parameters. Are you doing it? Are you working on it? Or is there nothing there? Yeah. And a lot of the questions are kind of based on that. Yeah. And then
it's a self-assessment. It's not, they don't come and do an assessment on you externally.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So, but I love the questionnaire. It's just really long. It's really long. It's it feels like you're taking a test.
Test, assessment, it's kind of the same, right?
Kind of the same.
The same word. Yeah.
A testament.
I'm sure if we did the etymological history of the 2 words, they come from the same root. I don't know. Let's see, right? We could do
that's what the Google's for.
Yeah.
But it was really cool, Louis. I met I constantly met him on coaching calls and stuff through AU, and then I met him at the mastermind in Denver last summer, and he had gone from Denver down to, I think he'd gone down to Florida, took his family to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Then they were driving on their way back up, and he had hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, are there any places knowing that I'm in Annapolis?" He's kind of driving through here on his way back up to Long Island. And he hits me up. He's like, "There are any good places to eat, around Annapolis? Something you grab a quick bite or something like that." And he had his wife and his son with him. And I was like, "Well, if you've been in the car for a long time, and you want to get him out and get moving and that sort of thing, Chick-fil-A has a play place, and it's right off the highway. and it's quick. And I ended up meeting him there, which was really cool. So I met him at Chick-fil-A. I brought Everett with me. The boys played, and we hung out. And I got to know his wife and all that. It was I don't know, it's a fun time. So Genevieve goes and checks when she goes up that way. She drops in at Cow Harbor as well. So if you're ever in Ireland, Cow Harbor CrossFit, tell them Eric sent you. They'll know what it means.
Yeah, not even close to the same word. So it's test comes from the Latin word testa, or testu, which could be like earthen pot, but it could also mean to witness. Whereas assessment comes from more of assedere, which means to sit beside. So in like a educational context, it's like the process of learning, describing, collecting, recording, or interpreting while sitting next to the student, where test is more the idea of what they say. Spencer's word. What did I just read it? Which means to sit, not sit with, something such as procedure, reaction. God, where did I just find it? Oh, well. Anyway, yeah. So completely different. That's interesting. How it's kind of melded into similar. We kind of see them as the same, test and assessment, but test would more be like an objective, like, sit with, like, just do it. Assessment, the person's more like following along with you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
From their root. I'm not sure if people use them that way, the same way now, but when we look, like, if I look at it from a
so if
philological history.
So the difference between, like, we could say, like, hey, you're regular when you're in class and I'm coaching you. It's more of an assessment on your progress and your fitness. The open is the test.
Totally. Like, where I'm not going to coach you, I'm not going to give you pointers. It's sort of a do it or don't. It's like an objective, like, you have 30 minutes. This is the book. Everybody's doing the same test. And there's no interaction with the prompter. And then assessment is more like, you can ask questions, you get feedback. We're kind of moving along. I'm still measuring something. So in the sense of them being like, one being, God, I lost it, but what test's root and then assessment's root, the rough definitions of them seem more, that's kind of cool. That's right. Words are cool, man. That's where it's fun.
They're cool. It's I'm sure this may not be riveting to other people, but I'm finding it like knowing that as much as we probably use those words in the same context, they're really not.
Yeah, totally.
So,
and then exam, right? What's exam? Where's that land? Somewhere in between the two of them?
Do we look
longer? Is it like a duration thing?
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. But I see test and exam as the same thing, but I could be way off. Way off. But hey, you know who did? If I could, is objective for the. I'm gonna segue into this. The did you get 14 classes a month or did you not? There's a test.
That's a test.
Did you get it?
Test of your consistency. Right.
Now, I think I know there is still a couple classes left to have today. I don't think there was anyone on the cusp of like one class. So, and today being, there's a lot of people are jokingly saying today's January 75th.
Has it felt long? Have you felt like January was long?
I think it's funny. I've noticed people saying it. Maybe it's just that influence that makes me think like I'm hearing people say it. Therefore, it is. But I feel like I always feel this way. January just always feels like a long month. Like Christmas was a month ago, give or take.
Yeah, we still got, my parents were actually here and they were making fun of us. They're like, you still got your Christmas decorations up. And I'm like, they're not Christmas. It's winter. They're snowmen.
Yeah, they're snowmen.
They're wearing red, right? It's a snow gnome, snowman.
And snowmen typically don't have closets and drawers and armoires to keep their clothes, so they're wearing what they have.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Right, right.
let's give it a rest. But yeah, it's just it's funny hearing people say that. And I was like, yeah, January does, and I think just too because the days are after Christmas. Like, there's not really anything between Christmas and now. Whereas like the holidays are so fast. Like I feel like once you get past Halloween, like I feel like time kind of moves pretty quick because you're just so busy. And
Yeah,
then
true.
January, I feel like things kind of like get back into groove and slow down a little bit. And it always feels long. Um,
It's the dark ages.
Dark, yeah. So, but we're in the home stretch. We're well past the yeah. The days are getting longer and nights are getting shorter. Doesn't feel like it yet, but they are.
Yeah. That's why I like the open. Gives you something
Yeah,
to shoot for come beginning of December. And I don't know. I felt like January flew by.
yeah. It's funny when I think about but I really, like I said, I think it's all in what's in your head. I didn't think about it until I started hearing people say it. I'm like, oh, it does feel kind of long. But then when I also think about like
Did you ever think about this? If you were to think about how you measure time, are you even aware of time, or are you aware of the moments that you take yourself out of time in recollection of a sequence of events that have already occurred, and thus you somehow in that sort of re- um, reflective consciousness create some sort of sequence of events that you then call time,
that's
or take what has happened already and project it into the future and associate some sort of expectation to it, and then also then call that time. Because if you were to think about actual pure duration of time as it's occurring, the second you assess it or think about it with your conscious ego, is it even time anymore? Or are you already taking something and like placing it in sort of this constructed space as like a set of like points on a number line that you then kind of like from some sort of third person objective view are like seeing, or are you artificially like seeing space between them, and then you're actually measuring the space between these sort of points? But in the end, like time actually isn't a thing. Like you can't, because the second you try to reflect on it, you're already in reflective consciousness and you're already taking it out of its essence as pure duration and making it past. Or like we just did, the reflective
yeah.
into the future, and you're creating expectation into some notional not having have happened yet future.
So back to the question, how do I see it?
Mhm.
I'm gonna take in a sense take the easy answer and say probably a little bit of all three at some point. But I think I
When is a moment or a time in your life when you can think of that you were not aware of time, but you were aware of being in something?
I think
No, Andy, I'm that's actually Henri Bergson, who's a French philosopher, who
who was not in True Detective season
who is
one.
not in True
Okay,
Detective.
got that clear.
And Rust Cole is quoting Nietzsche a lot in his discussion of time, and a little bit of Heidegger.
So there you go, Andrew. Andrew.
Andrew, who? Yeah,
Andrew.
but it's a good question, right? They're all in kind of philosophical conversation with each other. But anyway, I interrupted you. What were you going to answer?
I
Sorry.
think so. I definitely think I if I'm understanding what you're saying, I think more often than not, I see time as a series of events that have passed that I put together, and I look at like I'll look at it as like if I look back at the month and think of we did this month, we did this month, we did this month, it feels like time flew because we did all these things.
Mm.
I think I more often than not reflect on time in that sense.
So you're
Uh,
associating a speed equation based on a mass, like a quantity or a volume
yeah,
measurement. That's an interesting transposition of two different quantitative factors, right? Like, so Do you see without, so you can't really, you're wrong. You're not wrong. Like I totally agree with you. Like that's a phenomenon that we do, but it's like how odd that you're associating some sort of intensity of speed by by the size or the quantity of a volume measurement.
Well, I think it's from like I think it's from like I guess the month has flown by because it's already the end of the month and we've done all these things. I couldn't say I did all these things in the first week of January.
So then would that have meant that the month would have gone faster if you had done them quicker earlier? Like if you had gotten all those things done
wow, it's been a busy month. Like, I mean, I think most people say this: when they're busy, time flies. When you're busy, when you're not paying attention to time, when you're not looking at the clock or the calendar, when you're on vacation, you're not paying attention to the days. But before months of vacations at the end, you're like, "Gosh, I can't believe it's already."
But do you see what you're doing but it's only when you remove yourself from actual time that your reflective consciousness can then associate some sort of artificial quantification or qualification of the duration. But in the actual pure duration, time is time. But we don't know what that is. Like I don't know how to experience that without taking myself out of it and being able to reflect on it. And I'm not actually reflecting on the time. I'm reflecting on, like, even here, you're reflecting on these like artificially constructed moments in time. Like
what were we saying? If we didn't have days, or like a day is a measurement of 24 hours, which is
how long it takes the Earth, right, to spin on its axis. But
so if we didn't have time, how do we determine?
I think that's Ptolemy. It's either Ptolemy or Euclid. I think it's Ptolemy that figured that out, and that's what a lot of it's. And I think Copernicus after him. I did not take the math and science segment at St. John's, so I unfortunately did not get to read these guys. And but Ptolemy was within, like, I think he measured, and this is fascinating too. He measured the days of the year within like 0.00, like within 100th or 1,000th decimal place of what we use today. This was a guy who was using a sundial and measuring shadows. Like he had no idea. Like he didn't have, a telescope, and we didn't go to the moon and stuff. And he was within a workable error. He could have navigated. You could still navigate the surface of the Earth with Ptolemaic equations and Ptolemaic. And that's BCE type of shit. Like fucking smart ass motherfucker. But there's like, so it's a fascinating, like when you say those types of things, because I would still push off of not true. Also, please, Andy is super handsome, can do box jumps for 2 rounds of that workout really well. And he knows what I'm talking about. And his testicle knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Andy, I want to hear from your testicle in the next comment.
But
testicle,
like I don't know, like that idea of how flippant we are with our language of like, oh yeah, time flew, blah blah blah. It's like, and you even said, like, I mean, we experienced more or less the same 31 days of this month. To me, right? Like, I think the month went by quickly. I don't know if it was a lot of stuff, but then you even started this where you said, like, people are saying it's January 75th.
Yeah.
But then you also just said, but it feels like this month flew by.
Yeah. And I think it's all, like I said, I think I did not think about this feeling like a long month until I kept seeing things pop up where people are like, January just feels like the longest month.
Right. And yet you also at the same time feel like it flew by.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that possible?
I remember it's funny because I think sometimes I think about stuff like this because there was one time I think I said something similar where I was, like you said, like flippant with the language of like gosh, I can't believe it's been this long since whatever, something we did.
Mhm.
You're like, and you're like, has it though? Like, what makes it? And if I can remember what it was, like, it's like I can't believe it's been.
Such an asshole. I'm so
I was like,
sorry.
but I remember, and I think it was like, God, I can't believe it's been a year since the Open. It's like it feels like it feels like we just had it. And you're like, does it though? I was like, oh, I guess it doesn't. I guess it's been a full year, which is like really long. It's like, but is a year really long compared to like 5 years?
Yeah,
I mean,
compared to eternity, right? Like compared to 1,000 years ago.
Conversations going right now, and I'm feeling very awkward and uncomfortable.
Why can't you just let me have what I said and be done
Give
with
me
it?
the answer, Jack. Give me the answer. That's all I really want. All I really wanted was like, yeah, Eric, I can't. You're right. It has. Can't believe it's been a year. Moving on.
I mean, that's why that's why I'm enjoying reading this philosopher, because, and it's the one I'm taking the one class for, because he really does challenge you. It's kind of the experiment of, one of the things is like, imagine you're listening to a bell, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. At what point are you aware that you're counting the strikes of the bell, or are you paying attention to the space and the period in between the striking of the bell? Are you combining them and then creating them into some sort of like coherent sequence? Or if you actually listen to each of them individually, does it start to kind of sound like absurd, or like completely foreign? Like each, like it actually you're like, are they in sequence? Is there like a difference in time between them? But like, you know what I mean? Like what's happening there? Is it your perception that is changing the external stimuli, or is it only in your perception that it is even a stimuli? Like, and is time and the duration that is occurring, how would you even measure that if you don't like start a stopwatch? Which now you've added a whole nother variable that is, artificial and external to all of it. If we're trying to understand the phenomenology of our internal perception to an external stimuli, I'm not sure. I mean, like, and I mean this honestly, I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not sure what the fuck is going on up here and influencing that phenomenon, if I'm just trying to isolate out like one observable variable, which we're talking about time. So the statement of, man, the month really flew by, or God, this month is really taking forever, it's goobly glob talk. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd, because it's completely relative and it's completely arbitrary, and associating any sort of like sense of objective truth to it is a complete waste of, wait for it, time.
Hey, put a little bow on that.
Yeah. I didn't see that coming until it was like Roblox. Yeah.
You're a natural, Jack.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about like during the warm up the other day, I had people hanging from the pull up bar for 30 seconds. And one person was like, that was a really long 30 seconds. At the same time, someone else was like, oh, that was 30 seconds. Huh. Right. Like it's
right.
It's I was like, you guys had the same exact 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's all where
music
this,
and like audible stimuli is a great, it's like it's the go-to a lot of times. You talk about music, you talk about symphonies, you talk, right, like sort of this succession and building of sort of sounds. Now he hit it. He finally got one right. That is 100% true. And universal, my friend. I don't care who you are. You get on the assault bike. There's no way that was 10 seconds. No way. That had to be an hour.
Yeah.
Why right?
You want to live that first calorie to come off.
You want to live forever? Just ride the assault bike.
We found our Lazarus pit in the assault bike.
That's awesome. Perfect. Perfect.
Uh, yeah.
All right, cool.
So again,
Welcome to philosophizers in a box.
also known as bullshit artists.
Yeah.
Did you bullshit artists? Did you bullshit anyone today?
The BS channel.
Yeah. So yes, so where are we going in these, we'll say 30 and a half days at this point. A nice little list of the people that made the committed club. 14 people made the committed club. This one makes me happy right here. Alicia, month number 1.
Crushed it.
I think she even got like 16 classes. I think it was like 15 or 16. So she did all right here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. What did I say? 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 18 people. I want to get over that 20 mark. I don't know why. It's just that number.
It's kind of like I told Chris this morning. He needs to sign up. He asked, what do you get? What do I get? I don't know exactly. I forget exactly how he framed it. I don't want to put words in his mouth because wasn't fully paying attention when he started the question. But the conversation became, he was just kind of asking like, why would I sign up for the Open? But that's not how he asked it. Like that's too dismissive of what he was asking. It was a good question because then he asked like, well, does the gym get anything out of it? Like, what do I get out of it? And again, that also sounds unrepresentative. He wasn't like, what do I get?
Right.
It was a really good conversation, and other people kind of chimed in or whatever. It was funny. He goes, "Look, I'm going to sign up. I was just asking."
Yeah, like people asking that question. I'm like, and I was like, let me tell you, like, it's,
yeah. He's like, I got it. I was just asking, and I'm like, oh god, I'm so sorry. But it was a really, and then finally I came to, I was like, you know what, man, you just get us close. You get Eric one more person closer to 30. You're so close, and I was like, why 30? Because why not? It's a cool round number. Right? It looks cool. 3-0. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would offer that to you. You're very similar to your 20 on the committed club.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a cool. I'd be interested if you did some analytics of the committed club. What's the percentage of class distribution? So like if the 515 class averages, 8 people per class, if the 615 is like 9 people per class, blah, blah, blah. Of that, so 5 come from the 515, 3 come from the 615, 1 comes from the 930, and then your 530 or whatever. You could say that what that tells you is that let's make it easy.
Yeah.
4 out of the committed club come from the 515, and the 515 class averages 8 people class. 50% of the 515 class is in the committed club. 32.1% of the 615 is in the committed club. 10% of the 915 is in. It's just right. It's just kind of a cool, interesting, like, all right. So what that tells me is that if somebody comes and says, hey, I really want to make this thing stick, you could say, well, statistically speaking, if you come to the 5:15 a.m. class, you have a greater statistical chance of coming greater than 14 classes a month.
Yeah.
That's the, if then sort of logical syllogism, right? If Eric is human if Eric is human and all humans are mortal, Eric is mortal. So it's if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C sort of logical sequence. That would be sort of if you were to do some analytics on it, for like somebody's like, well, I can't come to 5:15, but I can come to 6:15. I was like, you know what? That's your second best likelihood of coming 14 to 16 times a month. And we know if you come that many times a month, you'll have the greatest likelihood of getting the results you want, sticking with it for 4 to 6 months, which usually is when you really start to see change. It's where data and analytics offers you, even if it's bullshit, right? If it's manipulated numbers, it gives you quantitative justification for narrative statements.
So that's true. That's interesting because like when you say that, looking at it too, of these 18, only 1 comes from 5:30. So that's like looking deep into that. I was like, so what is that? And it's Brian. Brian has been as consistent as they come since day 1. So like seeing Brian's the one there isn't a shock. But then when I also think about when I look at a couple of the names like Mike and Kate, they will whatever whatever the day brings them, they will be at class. They have their normal classes, like they're normally like 6:15. But if Kate can't make it in the morning, she will be there at 5:30 later that evening. Mike the same way. If he can't make it in the morning, he will be there at 5:30. And Mike and Kate are usually up there for the most classes at the end of the month. And so the floaters tend to be a little bit higher on the list. But I definitely want to dig into that and see what that is.
And that's my niece is going to school for business analytics, and they were over for Saturday, and we were just chatting. She's down at University of Tennessee, and my mom's like, "What is business analytics?" And I was like, I don't know, but what I imagine is because my nephew, my oldest nephew, went, and he's a what's the crunches numbers for insurance? Actuarial. He's an actuarial, but he didn't actually pass the tests yet. He's working on it. And then my sister went to college, and she's like a communications major, but she works in business she is a like sports marketing. So Timmy, my nephew, is the nerd with his like protractor and his abacus, like in the back room, like, well, if we increase revenue by 16.34%, we will increase overall cost, and then we can do that by increasing the premium by 16.2% over the course of the next 13 years, and you will increase revenue by blah 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 blah. So we can actually return a savings on investment to the investors by 13% over the course of the next 12 months and still hit our fourth quarter goals, right? Like he's the one with the spreadsheet and doing the numbers and changing the algorithms and stuff. And Chrissy's like, when that person's talking to them, she's like, I just want to know if they're going to have fucking pulled pork in the goddamn box at the game, Timmy. Well, the pulled pork currently costs because of the margins and the blah, 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 blah. She's like, oh my God, they can't talk to each other, right? Like they just don't, it doesn't work. My niece, Molly, is the business analytics. And she's the interpreter she loves math. Like she loves the numbers and crunching it and looking at it. But then she also knows how to tell a good story. So she's like, oh, right. Okay, Timmy. Cool. Blah, blah, blah. So give me that. Like, what's it? And then she goes, cool. Turns it and goes, Chrissy, we don't have pulled pork in the box, because if we have the pulled pork, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to tell the boss that you've met your fourth quarter ROI revenue goals. But if we have pulled chicken and we got this deal with McCormick Spices that they will make sure that it's stocked with Frank's Red Hot, we will not only meet, we will exceed fourth and next year's first quarter goals. And Chrissy goes, I love pulled chicken and I love Frank's Red Hot. And I got a deal with so-and-so. We're going to put it all together. Sweet. Right. And now the nerd number person is super happy. The marketer person is super happy because the business analytics person was able to translate the number to something here. So for you need like you're the story guy, right? And the question is, do you got yourself a Timmy, right, who can sit in the back room like, I don't know. Actually, what I did was I put the numbers, I put them together, and I dissected out like da 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 da. And you're like, I don't give a shit. Like, just tell me. Fuck.
Don't build me the clock. Just tell me the time. That's what I need.
There you go. Right. Yeah.
And
so for all you seniors or college freshmen looking for a major, business analytics, I think that's where it's at. People love to pretend that things are driven by numbers, but really just want to feel like the numbers make sense.
Yeah.
And so that's
you can make the numbers make sense.
Seriously, just change your data set. Do whatever you want it to do.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can definitely make it, you can make it say whatever you need it to say.
That's right.
Yeah, so, but that'll be fun though, diving deep into it. So if anyone too has a thought of like looking at that list and seeing all the names that make Committed Club, a lot of it's, it makes sense too though that the morning classes are the highest attended from a percentage wise. They have the highest average attendance, so it makes sense that.
But why would it make? I guess I see what you're saying. Just by mass volume,
right?
They just have more opportunity. But that's what I was saying. You can aggregate out that volume. So what I'm saying is, like, if your 5:30 class consistently has 3 people, and 2 of the people on your Committed Club are from the 5:30 class, the 5:30 class has a 66.76 2/3 a 66%, 67%
The success rate in
success rate of making the committed club. It is the highest likelihood of being on the committed club. Do you see? So
Right.
that's how you aggregate out
Yeah.
the artificiality of, well, there's just more people. Of course they're going to have it. No. It's got to be relative consistency of coming to the class, right? You're
Yeah.
like, I don't care if I have 6 people in the class or 100 people in the class. What I want to see is then that class better be most represented, whatever class is most represented by attendance, not by volume on the committed club, offers you perhaps then a conclusion or like a recommendation to somebody like, yeah, I can come to either. I mean, I don't work for a living. You know, I work from home. I got a pretty flexible schedule. I can come in the mornings first thing. I can come at 9:30. I can come at 5:30. I mean, Eric, which class do you think I should come to? Right? Like which one's gonna get me the most consistency, my friend? Because it says right there up on your wall, be consistent. And I wanna be consistent. I ain't courageous. I ain't got that. I certainly ain't curious. I know everything I need to know. I just want to be consistent. I want to be consistently a wuss who is really obnoxious to be around because I'm going to tell you everything that I know and I'm going to tell you what you know. I just want to be consistent.
Yeah. Well, looks like this is the class you should show up to, and
be like,
can't wait to see you
you
there.
can come to our 10 p.m. class.
Yeah. New
Guys,
10 p.m.
guys, is everybody in there? Hello?
I'll meet you there.
Yeah. Don't call me. Don't text me.
Yeah.
I don't see her every day this week. The coach didn't show up, so I just did the workout on that rig. He got out back or out front.
If I'm not there, here's what I need you to do: hop back in your car and head up to Chinkapin. And off of Chinkapin, there's this other place that I think has 24-hour access. They'll let you in.
Oh
my gosh! So for that, congrats to all you folks that are on the committee. Good month. Good month.
Close. That's what they call in the comedy world, the comeback. You came back to it.
Came back to it. Yeah. And
what we like to call in the other industry, the reach around.
Which industry is that? Oh my goodness.
I was trying the food industry.
The food industry, yes.
I don't know. I'm just gonna who
I was certain. Never mind. We won't go down that rabbit hole. Never mind.
We have derailed. Andy's like, guys, you derailed 55 minutes ago.
Conversation took a little PG-13, maybe even NC-17 twist last night at the end of class.
Oh, your class did?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Knocker, right? Let's moving on. But yeah, looking at too. If I'm looking at the people, just curious out of the committed club too, the amount of people that are signed up for the Open. It's a good number. This too.
Correlative or causative, right? That's sort of an interesting. Just right, like you're more likely to get eaten by sharks if you eat ice cream.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Wait, what? I love ice cream. And I love swimming in the ocean. That's not fair.
I just had ice cream this morning.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm gonna stay home. I don't want to get eaten by a shark.
Jesus. Well. Hey, speaking of the Open, we'll dive into this real quick.
Not shark bites. Speaking of the Open.
Not shark bites. Not shark bites. I'll pop this up. Boom.
Boom.
Again, somewhat of a rough draft. Because also, I don't know what reallyGreatSite.com is. Feel free to check it out. Or don't.
Or don't, because you may have just sent people to the Russian Trojan horse site.
Right. ReallyGreatSite.com. For more information on Fairwinds CrossFit's Open, head to ReallyGreatSite.com. Yeah, we announced. I haven't even announced it yet, but I've selected my 2 captains, which will be Alexis and Bridget, who are super stoked to be captain. I asked them, I was like, "Hey, are you have any interest in being a captain for the Intramural Open?" They're like, "Yeah." Easy, done. And then
Bridget and who?
And Alexis.
Oh, okay.
And
I don't think I've ever met Alexis.
So yeah, she used to pop into 615s, but I feel like 930 has been more of her sweet spot. Anyway, but yeah, they're super like gung ho and excited and ready to roll. Juliana's going to kind of help me on the back end with stuff. She's co-emceeing with me because she's just so good at that stuff. And so here's kind of rough draft. So we are going to divide the gym up into 2 teams based on people that are signed up for the Open. I am encouraging people to say, please be signed up for the Open by Valentine's Day, because that's just a good, nice, sweet day. Because on the 16th, everyone that signed up for the Open, we'll take that, we'll put them on teams, and this will be your team, this will be your team. I think between now and then, Bridget and Alexis will have team names. They'll have fun team names and ready to rock and roll with that. And we'll go from there. So we'll divide the gym up into 2 teams. We'll do that on Friday, February 16th. And then the first workout gets announced on Thursday, February 29th. Don't forget, it is a leap year. Thursday on the 29th. And as you mentioned, you'll be here Thursday evenings to, would you say around 7 o'clock, get warmed up, get prepped.
Say what? I said what? I'm doing what?
To your run of the workout.
I'm just kidding.
And talking to a couple people, I think Alexis wants to come too. She wants to knock it out that night.
Cool.
I was talking to Sophia. She might try to come home. Her classes are over on, I think they're done by that time of day, so she might even team Ptolemy. Andy, do you want to be a captain? Do we need a third captain? But yeah, so anyway, workout gets announced on Thursday. We will do the workout on Friday. You can get it done in class if that is your prerogative, if that's what you choose. I am encouraging people to come Friday evening. We will do heats and all that good stuff and work out under the lights of Friday night. Again, I would love it if people got the workout done on Friday, but I know sometimes schedules just don't align that way. So I will open it up to, if you need to get it done, I will have the gym open between 9 and 12 on Sundays. You can come then. We're not going to do it in class on Mondays. We're not going to run 2 separate workouts. Monday will be a whole new week, a whole new workout. So Friday, Sunday, communicate that with me. But yeah, we'll do our 3 workouts, and workout number 3 on Friday the 15th. That's supposed to be workout number 3. We will crown our winner. Now, these bonus point challenges, these are subject to change. This was, again, I was kind of putting stuff up there, like fun ways to get your team extra points. What we'll do typically is do the workout. You get yourself 3 points for your team. Boom. If that's all you do the workout, log your score, 3 points. We'll do our points for top division winners, that sort of thing, and then we'll give you team opportunities for bonus points. So anyway, more on this to come. But here's your rough calendar of things that are coming up with the Open. Jack, do you have any questions?
So they no, well explained. Thanks.
Cool.
They have switched back to calling them workouts rather than events or tests. Yeah, it's all been so sometimes they were called events, sometimes they were called tests, sometimes they were called workouts, but it's now workout 24.1, workout 24.2, workout 24.3.
Cool.
Yeah. Which I don't think they're gonna like that if they do a double one of the weeks. Right?
Yeah, because
I guess you could just call it 24.1A, 24.1B.
What's funny, because in the past, what did he do? He did like here's workout 24.1, and then here's workout 24.1A.
Yeah.
That's so like, well, wouldn't that be A and B? So anyway, but that's what was the 2-parter last year? Oh, it was the shuttle run, the pull-ups, and then you had the heavy thruster.
Oh, right.
That was the A-B part last year, yeah. So it seems like that's a trend. We'll see if they do it or not.
But with 25, well, it just depends on with 25% making it to quarters this year. I'm curious how much they'll put into doing a double. So basically, you just got to think like
a couple doubles too. What if they did double?
Well, no, you actually don't want a double. Like there's just no need because you've got a larger field moving on to the next thing. So you actually want more moving on to that next thing, though it would be relative anyway if everyone's doing the same test.
Right.
But you know that you've got the next field, the next series of workouts,
Yeah.
or the stage and the tests to whittle that down to the top, whatever. I think it's 100 or 200 in a thing. I forget
Yeah.
what the to go to semis, and then semis are in person or online, I think, for the Masters, and then from semis they get the numbers to go to the games.
So are you saying, so you think with this bigger field, they don't necessarily have to like have something in there that really separates
Correct.
one from the other because it's such a big field now?
Correct. You just need you just need a top 25. So it could be all capacity tests,
Yeah.
right? Like it could be like basically 2 capacity tests within that capacity. Like maybe the first one's just like straight up capacity. The second one's like capacity with like a little sprinkling of skill, and then the third one is like capacity with a little sprinkling of strength and skill. Like
Yeah.
you've hit kind of, and right. So it's like could be like single modality, couplet, triplet. Boom! I got enough differentiation between my field to
Yeah.
comfortably say the the correct top 25% are moving on to the next stage. Because the reality is, I don't give 2 shits in the grand scheme of this being a track to the games. I don't
Yeah.
really care about the bottom 20% of that
Yeah.
top 25%.
Yeah.
So as long as the top 5% fall within that 25% in the first phase, they move on to the next stage.
Why
And then
do you
within,
think,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say within that stage, now I do need to kind of like get some better differentiation because now I actually need the right people to go to semis so
Yeah.
that I can then even zoom in further on the test them effectively to get the top 5 from each of the semis to get the right 40 to go to the games.
Why do you think they added an additional 15%? So why do you think they bumped it up from 10% to 25%?
More registration fees.
Do you think just that? Like, do you think it's just make more money? Like, do you think it's because see, I came from the side of let's try to extend the inclusivity of the event itself, like the games
Yeah,
itself.
why not? Right. But I mean, which is great, right? That's the narrative that's being sold. But the actuarials who are sitting in the back room saying, well, you've had a decrease
use
in
that
blah, 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 blah. If all you did is raise your affiliate rates by 16.34% over the course of the next 3 years and increased the amount of participants in the next stage of this thing and charged them $50, you would not only for losing 20% of your affiliation, you'd actually make 58% more revenue across the next 16 quarters. Right. So like they went, well, that's a no-brainer. Philly fees are $4,500. Everyone's got to get a level 2, another $1,000. Well, $1,200 now.
Yeah.
And we're going to increase it to 25. Look at this. We've made it more inclusive.
Yeah.
We've given you the opportunity for increased professional development. And with that extra $1,500, Eric, you as an affiliate are going to get boom, 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 all of these wonderful services that you're kind of already getting, and you don't really need, right? So that's the actuarial was talked to by the business analytics person who translated that to some sort of narrative, and then we're seeing the talking heads give the narrative, which is totally fine, right? Like I get, like it's cool. But bottom line, yeah, it comes down to it's probably going to increase their revenue 15, 20, 30%. I don't know. I didn't get their business meeting notes, but yeah. So, and if it gets somebody to make it to quarters, like cool, like, all right, should be kind of fun. We'll see what happens.
I'm curious to see, maybe in particular from your perspective too, like does kind of what you just said from like having the 25%, does it take something away? Like I think people have liked the tests are usually capacity, but there's always you can almost always kind of like there's one kind of like heavy lift in there, right?
Yeah.
That people kind of get jazzed up about. Or there's some sort of like part A, part B that people it might still be. So I'm curious to see when it's all said and done. Like did the experience of the Open get watered down a little bit?
I don't know. I mean, history does not suggest that it will, right?
Yeah.
I in all of the iterations that the Open has been 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 3 weeks, pathway to quarters, pathway to semi-regionals, pathway to sectionals or sanctionals, or right, like all the different iterations that we've had of the CrossFit Games season, with the open being a part of it since 2011. It has never disappointed to be fun and yield some sort of benchmark baseline test of have you effectively utilized the CrossFit methodology to improve your work capacity across broad time and modal domains.
Right.
So I don't think it matters if they made it 30 get to go on to quarterfinals, or if they reduced it to 5% to go to quarterfinals. I think it's inappropriate.
The open will still be
to second guess these professionals, namely, Adrian Bosman and Dave Castro and the teams that they assemble, to second guess them and say that just because they changed like one little thing about like what's next, that all of a sudden they're just going to throw out their professionalism and their ability to program really good tests that, if executed well, and not just really good tests at the RX, but like really good tests that are scaled to the scaled version, to the foundations version, to the adaptive version, right? Like we did that one year. We did that experiment. I did all 4 of the versions, and I was like, good night. They all suck equally awesome if you execute them at high intensity.
I said, I vividly remember you after that scaled Diane.
Yeah.
With the bear crawls instead of the handstand push.
I still didn't beat Annie Thorstadter, who did it RX.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. God. It was awesome. So like, I think you're an asshole if you, oh my God, it's going to totally change the dynamic, whatever. Like, just because it's going to gain them increased revenue, and that may have been that in the end, the straw that kind of broke the camel's back, and the decision of like, well, it's kind of a no-brainer. Doesn't really change anything. And we can walk away with a little bit more money, which allows them to do maybe more across the season, maybe funnel that money to the affiliates, to more things, to website design. I don't know, right? Like, okay. Last time I checked, that's called capitalism.
Up in his pockets with like extra open registration.
Right. Like, Dave's not buying himself a Maserati next month, or Dom Fall's not like, his salary doesn't change because all of a sudden 25% are going to send or to the quarterfinals or whatever. So I think I think it's an asshole move to think that anything is going to be any different, and that we're not going to get the same quality of an event across the 3 weeks that they have displayed for the last decade plus, right? They're really good at this. They've been doing it a long time. Well, relatively long time.
I think there's even years. I feel like we've even had conversations in the past where like maybe we didn't like these workouts as much, but from like
because they're hard, because they expose your weaknesses.
They weren't as in my wheelhouse quite as much. They were still a good damn test, and it was a really good open. My personal feeling was, this one was a little.
They started. That's such bullshit. They started with muscle ups. I don't even have muscle ups. It's like, I don't think that's a them problem, my friend.
Yeah,
like, how long you been doing this?
It's funny. I think I sometimes I do love. I don't know why. I like seeing that kind of peanut gallery sometimes, because it's just kind of like a. What's really upsetting you right now? Like,
I want everybody to tell me that I am special and that I am important, and that what I say matters. That's what I want, Eric. I just want somebody to see me and tell me that I want my mom.
When it really comes down to it, I think that's all you really want is your mom. I think that's all it is.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey man, it's just a freaking test, right? And guess what? If the only time you practiced on a movement that was the obstacle to which you could not get past, or from which you could not get over, or whatever, it's grammatically incorrect, whatever. And it happened last year, and that same workout shows up again and as a benchmark or as a retest, and you fail at the same place. And if you look back in reflective consciousness with objective measurement that you observed and noted and logged, and you've only done that movement 3 times across the year, not a programming problem. It's actually a beautiful test, because what it just said to you was you failed in your ability to be consistent in your practice to move the needle further into doing what you want to do. I would say in the competition standpoint, the open gets kind of muddy because it's like, well, I don't want to compete, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. Take double under, ring muscle up, handstand, push up out of the equation, and put your socks on with one foot without touching your foot to anything when you put your one sock on. It's called a balance test, right? Last time I checked, if I'm 65, one of the biggest things that is going to put you out of the game is falling, because you lose your balance. You break a hip, you ain't recovering very quickly. That's not a good thing, right? So like, you could take the individual movement that is the test in the open that puts the 25-year-old in a, this is the worst test ever, they're so dumb, blah, 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 and just replace it with a like life skill. I want to be able to walk up and down the stairs 10 times in under 10 minutes, right? So I can test that. It's called Chad, right? Don't do 1,000 step-ups, but do 500. And the Chad time you got last year versus the Chad time you get this year, if it's an improvement, you just showed that you have put a buffer against you having to live in a single floor nursing home versus stay in your beautiful house that you bought and you raised your kids in, and you want to stay there for as long as possible because it's got 2 or 3 floors. So like, that's the type of thing where it's not a very far translation from, yeah, the open, I get it, gets competitive. There's like, you know, it gets muddy, like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Like, yes, but it's still just, it's just an individual test. And the test is testing your work capacity. And work capacity can be translated in so many different ways. And I can utilize that. I can make that into real world utility very quickly, right? And that's all. Like, so a second somebody's like, I think it's stupid. I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm like, sure, it's stupid. When's the last time you looked at yourself and said like, shit birds? Not shamey or judgy, like, but just like, hey, like, it's difficult to face the truth of an assessment. Trust me, I know, right? Like, I run from it all the time, but then realize I'm running from it and try to put myself in a position to be judged, to be assessed, because that's the only way, like, you can get out of this fucking mess. Not my hair. I love this hat. I mean, like, the inside part.
The inside mess.
Yeah. I know. Is that what you were asking? Sorry, I kind of went off on imagine that. I went off on a tangent.
I think you took it evolved into something even better. So, yeah. Anyway, are you playing? Are you going to play open bingo?
I doubt it.
Well, that's lame.
I mean, do you want my $5? Do you just like that? I won't. I don't have the attention span or the memory to like be like, what did I pick? I don't know. And then, right, like, if I win, like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know.
We did it. It was fun. Juliana did it last year. Once she gets everyone's cards, she put them up on the board and then marked off and see where everyone went.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I remember, like, after that first workout, I think Kate Brew had 4 in a row after that first workout.
Yeah.
And then, because I think the first one last year was a chipper, wasn't it? And she never got bingo. The rest of the way, everything else was scattered. So, yeah, it's like Juliana came up with that. I was just like, yeah, people want
to. Cool, I mean, for me personally, it falls in the same category as like fantasy football leagues or you know, right, your WWE stuff. Like,
you're putting your $5 toward it's entertainment. It's not. There's nothing else really to be
right. Like, and like, I really enjoy that everybody enjoys it. Like, I love that you love wrestling. I think it's kind of a fun conversation to talk about or whatever. But like, I can enjoy watching and seeing people enjoy it without actually having to like do it. You know what I mean? Like that's I can do both. I think we can do a lot of things like that. We can do both, right?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. No judging here. It was just so Jack's not doing bingo. Yeah. Whatever. What a jerk.
Go ahead, change his password. Cancel his access.
That's not true. I don't want to get up in the morning 5 days a week.
Right. Be really good, be really nice, or be critically useful. That's
change Mary's access.
There's only 3 things that you need to be successful. And actually, there's 3. Right? This is I think I've told you this. A joke. Like, so I used to say with the midshipmen, like, you're gonna learn a lot of stuff here. There's gonna be a lot that comes down your plate over the next 4 years. But I'm gonna give you the secret to a successful military career. Be on time,
Beyond
in
time.
the right place, in the right uniform. That's it. If you hit all 3 of those consistently across your career, you will make admiral. You don't even have to be that good at your job. Nobody even really has to like you, nor do you really even need to do the right jobs. Just be on time,
Beyond time,
in the right place,
in the right place.
in the right uniform.
Yeah, this is good life lessons.
Invariably, if you're hitting all 3 of those consistently, somebody else will have missed 1 or 2 or maybe all 3. And over time, you will eventually matriculate up to the top, and you will be the only one who is left hitting all 3. And they'll be like, he's kind of a moron, but he's the only one here. So he's admiral. We're making him, he's in charge.
I think James would tell me that's kind of where the Coast Guard's at right now.
It's all. It's the same. I mean, like, seriously, it's
across all branches.
That's it. That is the measure of success. Be on time, in the right place, in the right uniform.
There you go.
It. I was on time and I was in the right uniform, but I was on the wrong side of the country. Be like, sorry, man, you're out. You didn't make 05. You didn't make commander. It's too bad, because we had 2 guys here in the right uniform on time. They're up next.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one to end on. Good life lesson to end on. Right? All right. What's your gratitude this week?
My gratitude. My gratitude is it's Nicole, because her 50th birthday is coming up in December, and we play the dance of so like her most recent birthday, and it always falls within like close to Christmas. So that's always, right? Do you have anybody in your family? You got a couple people who are like near Christmas.
Oh,
right?
my dad's was the 27th, and Axel's is the 14th. Yeah.
Right. And it's like the cardinal rule. You cannot give, yeah, I brought you a present. It's your combo Christmas birthday present, right? Like, it's like, no, bullshit. Yeah. Like, they're always so like, she's close enough. That's growing up. That was always a problem, but that's always the cardinal rule. So it's got to be separate. So I got her, she's doing a pottery class on Thursdays, which is kind of cool. So I got her like a whole pottery, like starter kit, got the apron and tools and stuff. And it was kind of cool. It was like a fun, but I did not get any like suggestions from her for this one. But I was like, hey, look, it's your 50th birthday coming up. Like, I'm more than happy over the next 6 to 7 months, like coming up with something like epic. Yeah. But I'm also aware that if there's something like you really want to do, right? Like, and make it something, just tell me. Like, please. That's it. And so I probably said that to her like 4 or 5 months ago. I said, just be aware. I'm open to, I don't need like it to be whatever. But I do need you to make sure that it is something you want to do. And it's not just like, oh, that was nice. Yeah, okay, cool. Because I'm like, we've been at this too long. What a waste of time. So last night she told me, she's like, you know what I want to do for my 50th birthday? I'm like, I don't know what. She goes, I want to go see the big trees. I want to go see the big trees out in California. What are they? I'm like, the redwoods in Sequoia in Yosemite? And she's like, yeah, that. And I want to hike into it and stuff. She goes, I don't want to camp. Like, she's like, I don't want to like wear a really heavy backpack and like stay overnight. She's like, I want to drive in and then like walk somewhere and then like look at you and then walk back to my car and go stay at the really nice place that has good food and a shower and a tub and stuff. And I'm like, I'm on board. I'm tracking. I like what you said. But it was perfect. It was like beautiful. And then we were like looking at the time. It's like, we can't go in December. It's gonna be way too effing cold. Like, no. Yeah. So, but we're gonna plan for it. But the gratitude is, I like it. I'm so grateful that just tell me what you want, right? Like, don't play this.
For the love of God, just
don't
tell
play
me
this dancing around game of like.
Tell me what movie you want to see. Yeah.
Right. And then like, there's sometimes where it's like legitimately like, I don't know what I want, but I'm willing to like, if you throw some ideas out there, like I'll say yes or no. So sometimes that's cool too. Like with dinner or something, I'd be like, what about this? What about no? Like, I'm not going to get frustrated. But if it's sort of like, you know what I want? I want fucking pizza. I want broccoli and chicken on it. And I want it to be a white pizza. And then I get like a pepperoni and bacon pizza. It's going to be like, hey, dum-dum. That's not what I said I wanted. Like, I was pretty clear. So I'm very grateful of like that clarity of like, well, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. What do you like? She didn't play that game, and I fucking love it. So I'm super grateful, and now I'm super excited to go to the Redwoods. Right?
Yeah.
Like we're putting this plan together. What's that?
Yeah, that's so funny. I think it's funny when Megal asked me what I want to do something like for my birthday, like for my 40th. I was like,
I don't care.
I was like, I don't know. I don't care. Like it's like I care, but I don't care. Like I don't know. Like if she was like, do you want to have a party? Sure. Do you want to just like do stuff with the family? Sure. Like I don't. It's like I'm really easy to please. I'm not. I don't think I don't like expecting it. I'm the same way at Christmas. Like I don't want anything. Like I don't want people to feel like they have to do something for me. Like and of course Meg comes up with something great. Like she might give me a little thing here and there, and she's like, oh, by the way, I bought tickets for the Ava Brothers, but it's not till August. But we're gonna do that.
That's your Christmas.
That's perfect, right? Like that's like perfect. Like she knows. Like she knows.
Mm-hmm.
Where Meg is a lot like Nicole. She's like, I want this, and I'm like this, and I'm like this, and like, cool, got it, done.
And I feel like that puts guardrails. That then there's also a flexibility or a willingness that, like within those guardrails, now all of a sudden I don't have to waste energy figuring out, like I've got all this room to be creative. So like now all of a sudden it's like we know where we want to go. We know when we probably have to go, late spring, maybe spring breakish, or early spring, or early summer, late spring, blah, blah, whatever. So like where, when, how we're gonna get there, like that shit's easy. Now all of a sudden I got all this creativity of like, do we stay in an Airbnb? Do we get like do we link up with a pre-programmed tour? Like I'm like, ooh, I got all kinds of stuff that I can like mess around with.
Yeah.
That's the part where, auxiliary gratitude is she's totally fine with, like, she didn't give a shit about like those details.
Yeah.
As long as we hit the big wicket thing, like you know what I mean? Like that's the type of stuff. And I was really grateful when she said that last night. And it came from like I won't like where it was inspired from or whatever. That doesn't really matter. But she offered me that too,
probably
which was
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, 100% Planet of the Apes. But it was sort of like I really liked the story kind of behind it too, which is kind of like I think maybe that was sort of she knows me and knows like I kind of need a little bit of the why behind it. So yeah.
Yes, that's cool. I think it's funny too. I think that clarity is cool too, because I think we're all the four of us, you, me, Megan, Nicole. We don't want stuff. Like we don't need things. Like it's more about like an experience, something we can
I'll
take
another snow person.
Snow person. Yeah.
Awesome. Give me snow. I'm gonna line them up everywhere.
So guys,
no more snow people.
No more snow people.
No more snow gnomes.
Cool. I think mine fell out of my head.
You want to get that checked?
Yeah. Shoot. I don't know. My gratitude is my gratitude is Pat Barber. I'm gonna put Pat Barber on here. He has his kind of little side gig of like the Fathers Guild. It's like his YouTube channel and his Instagram page where he's taken it's more about like his life as a parent, and he's very open to talking about things. And he did this thing a couple months ago. It was his no yell challenge, and he put his kids in front of a camera and just straight up asked like, "What do I do that you don't like?" And kids were like, "You fart a lot." Right? Like kind of messy. And but all three of them said when you yell. All three of them said like he just asked, "What don't you like?" They all three said when you yell, and that it scares them and it makes them kind of uncomfortable. Yeah. And he saw that pattern, and they started asking more questions like, "What is what?" Not just like how does it make you feel, but what if why do you think I yell? And they're like, well, because we're doing something we shouldn't be, and you want us to do that. So if that's why I yell, what could I do instead of yelling that would, maybe make you stop doing what it is that you're doing? He has, I think his oldest is maybe like 7. But I don't know, but they would ask these questions. And then he said, tell you what, he goes, I'm going to go a whole month and I'm going to really work hard not to yell. But what is I think he asked him like, what is what could I, if I yell, what's my punishment, or what's the,
Yeah.
what do you guys, if I don't yell, what do you guys get?
sure.
And he said something like, well, what if I gave you $5 every time I yell? And his oldest son's like, all right, cool. And he goes, why is $5 okay? What about 10? He goes, yeah, sure, 10's fine. And he goes, make it $1 million. And then we started talking about it more, and he asked his son, like, why, his son's like, no, $5 is good. $5 is good. He's like, if you yell, I get $5. And he goes, and I don't need any more. He goes, because I don't like when you yell, but I have a pretty sweet life, so $5 is enough. And so it was really cool watching him have that conversation with his kids, and then hear him kind of talk through over the course of like a month, like not yelling, and how much he had to be way more present. He had to be way more. And so I've been like the last week, I've been trying to, like, I'm not going to yell. Like, regardless of what's going on, I absolutely will not yell. And I even asked Fee about it too. Like, I had the conversation with Fee. So I told her I'm really trying hard not to yell. And she, I asked her, was like, I went through the same path of like, is there something that if I do yell, what do you want? And she's like, an iPad. I'm like, all right, well, we're not gonna do that. But like, let's be.
You had one. You dropped it down the stairs.
Yeah. Now that it's broken, she thinks it's hers. Now that it's broken, and now that one's broken, and Megan bought a new one.
Yeah.
Fiona thinks the broken one is hers. I was like, no, Fee. She's like, well, mommy doesn't need one now. She has two. I'm like, that's not how it works, Fee. But I'll tell you, like, just that practice is like, I feel like even by holding myself to that standards, regardless of what's going on, I will not raise my voice. Almost making it easier to face whatever it is that's going on at that moment. I'm not as stressed out. Stuff doesn't trigger me quite as much. I do feel like I almost have this better relationship, because since I'm modeling this behavior of not letting myself get red, they're not either. And so it's kind of it's harder than you would think, but also not, like the last thing.
I know what you're talking about.
So that was a long way around. I was like, Pat did this no yell challenge, and the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I probably yell way too much. I probably raise my voice. And then there's also all this stuff too. Like, if I'm raising my voice at one kid, where kids are at, especially like toddlers, they don't differentiate yelling. Well, it's directed at them. It's just they hear it. And so I want to model better behavior, and I feel the difference. I notice the difference. And so that's mine.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to follow that hippy dippy California bullshit, I mean, that's fine.
Right, like,
last time I checked, I told Andrew I was going to beat him to a bloody pulp one time when he spilled something in the kitchen. I think he was 5 or 6, and he turned out fine. So we have a great relationship. That was also right before I went back to therapy. Because when Nicole said you cannot tell your child you're going to beat him to a bloody pulp, that's not okay. You need help.
Yeah, I told Fee I was going to put a rabbit outside and let it get eaten by the foxes. It's just like, I said, because that'll be a much sweeter death than the slow death that rabbit is taking, because you don't care to give her water and feed her and play with her.
Oh man,
it's
all true statements, man. I gotta say, like, it's all true, but yeah, you might be onto something. The delivery might not be.
I'm going to give your rabbit the sweet release of death, as opposed
the
to
nuance.
The
nuance of your logic might have gotten lost on the 7-year-old.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit. She asked a couple days later. She goes, "Are you really going to give Lizzie?"
Yeah, right. That's all she held on to.
I overreacted.
It's probably good call. It's a good call. Thanks, Pat. Good advice, actually. Good job, Mr. Barber.
Anyway, awesome. All right, fun day.
All right, brother.
Cool. All right, man. I will see you between now and the rest of our lives.
I like it.
All right, we're out of here in 5. Wait, 5.